Okay. So today is one of my favorite days because I found that I know so much about every single one of you and your goals for like right now. Like, what are you actually wanting to accomplish right now? But I want to
Can
hear
you
more.
minimize the
Yeah.
thanks, Di.
Wait, what'd you say?
Can you minimize our pictures?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I
Thanks,
love
Di.
you. Thank you. Here.
Mhm.
Boom. Got him. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is just figuring out what your long-term visions are. Like, do you want to, especially because you guys are coaches, where do you see your business going? What kind of things do you want for your business to look like? And I want to know that aspect for sure. And if you need help figuring out what do I want my business to look like 5 years from now, that is something that we are going to be talking about. But the other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is when you're creating a 5-year plan, I know that you are not your business by any stretch of the imagination at all. However, I want to get to know you guys on a different like level where I actually know about your life. I know about the kind of things that you are actually like wanting to create in past sessions. I think the big thing that I've learned from this session itself is people's why. Like, why is it important that your business grows to whatever size you want it to in the next 5 years? Whether that sometimes it's leaving jobs, motivation to support family members, family planning, all those kind of things are like all wrapped up in your 5-year plan. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we know about goals and we know about like what you're thinking about the future, but I also want to use this today. We've talked about this probably in like pieces, but I want to formally talk to you about how to envision your CEO self concept and actually envisioning you being the leader of this company and really getting into who is this future self? What does it look like at least 5 years from now? Then the big thing that I want you guys to know is like, I don't just want you to have businesses that are making money. I want you to have fulfilling businesses too. That's why I also want to like emphasize that it's not just about the time. We want to also talk about all the different aspects of your life. And I'm going to talk to you about a foggy future vision. And anything that I teach today, I've taught at multiple different organizations. This is actually like my favorite topic to do as a webinar in a bunch of different places. And I call it like the future plan webinar. And as you guys are all coaches, if you want to take this and use it for like it just at least a concept, or even like if you want to move things around for any webinars that you're thinking about doing, this is a great, easy topic that applies to anyone with general life goals. So I have this quote. It's like set goals beyond your reach so that you have something to live for. I want to know like what is the big picture of each of one of your lives? What is like the big thing that you are like looking for? So next week I reversed the order. So today we're getting really into the big plan. Then next week we're going to talk about your annual plan. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about your monthly plan. And let me just double check. I switched the order for you guys. You're the first group I've actually switched the order for. So we got long-term, annual, and monthly planning. So that is what is coming. And I think I told you guys because I forgot the new order that we were going into the monthly checklist today. We're not. We're talking about the future plan and we will get into the monthly checklist in 2 weeks. So I want to know bigger picture about like what are the kind of things that you want to leave in your legacy in the world? What are those kind of things looking like? Now I see two people in the chats. So let me just pull this up, make sure no one's like, pause. I've got a question. Let me just grab this. Make sure. Yes. Oh, me too. Okay. Just excitement, which I love. Okay. So the way the future plan I used to have as the first thing we actually did in the program. I shifted it because I felt like your creating your offer was more important. However, the reason why I think this is so important is if you kind of have in mind the big future plan, the idea of all the things that your business is coming to, one of the things that I want you guys to know is that you've already endured a lot of learning curves in just the first couple of modules. Like there's lots to learn. There's so many things that you can add and change and like switch around in your business. And I want to bring it back to the big picture because a lot of times that future self, that bigger version or that next version of you that's coming up, it has a lot more patience to deal with the problems of the moment. It's instead of it being like, oh my God, there's so much happening. It's like, okay, but I know it's worth it because this is where I see my business going. And one of the reasons why it's not like the last thing that we cover. So within your business, we want to create a future self concept, of course, but for the sake of our businesses, we have what's called a CEO self concept. And the way that I like to think about this is I think a lot of times we start our business on default. And it's kind of like, okay, what we just kind of like start this. We're like, okay, I want some financial freedom, I want some time freedom, but we don't actually sit down to think about like what kind of leader do we want to be? What kind of things do we want to create? Like as this business grows, who do you want to show up as? And I think that one of the things that I've noticed with some people who have done this work after they've grown financially is that it's way better if you start knowing what kind of CEO you want to be. And as I'm actually going through the hiring process right now, this is the first thing I've come back to as my business has scaled. Like, okay, who am I becoming as this business grows? So the first thing I like for you to do is list character traits. Now these things might change, but one of the things like this could be like patient. That is definitely something that I want to exhibit as a coach, as a CEO, all the things that like because I know there's going to be lots of learning curves. And I also want to be compassionate. I want to always give people the benefit of the doubt. I want to be like open to new things and flexible if like the plans need to change. Um, and some of these character traits are going to be things that you already are strengths of yours. Others are going to be things that you need to work on. So for me, patient, open, those are things that I struggle with. I'm like, I struggle a lot of times to be patient. So I put them on my character traits list. But compassionate, I feel like is actually a really big strength of mine. And so it's something I want to continue doing. So as you list these character traits, you can be a mix of things that you are currently doing right now, things that you want to work towards. It doesn't have to be 5 and 5, but just so you have an idea of that. I also, when I initially did this, this was that part piece specifically was a part of a program I did with Rachel Bell. It is discontinued, but it was something that I did back in 2021 now, which is like 3 years ago, which is insane to me. But I made a list of like 20 different things and then I thought of different character traits I could tie together. So like compassionate and loving, I tied together. You know, those are the things that I wanted to have. Um, so that's the way you can, if you're like, oh my gosh, I've got so many character traits I want to be as a CEO. The real purpose of this is to get you visioning, getting you thinking bigger than in the current moment. So feel free to split it up however you wish. The next things the next thing on this little portion of the worksheet are your beliefs. These are things that like you always want to come back to as you're building your business. So one of mine is like I'll never know everything and that's why it's so amazing. It helps me to build it's like a thought that creates the feeling of open and flexible because I'm like, okay, even though I don't know everything, I'm still open and flexible to the things in the future. Feel free if you want to switch them around. Again, adapt and adopt and abandon as needed. But these are things that have really served me. The next thing is something I actually adapted. I'd never heard of a Wheel of Life before, Stacey Bateman. And I had heard about it in different capacities. My father actually, when we were little, like I was like, there's just like no way I'm not your daughter because he is also all about PowerPoints and spreadsheets and little diagrams and stuff like that. And so Jeff Wing, when I was like growing up, my dad was literally like, okay, here are the different parts of your life. You've got to figure out how to balance these as you grow. And that's kind of like what I feel like a more mature version of that is the Foggy Future Vision. So, within the foggy future vision, there are different aspects of your whole life. Again, your business is not just you. And I want you to think about just get today, let's get bigger than business. And I want you to think about, of course, the mental contribution you're creating in the world. That is probably going to be mostly with business. right? That's where we're going to be. And I'll break down mental into two different categories. But this is where we're like thinking about our legacy and our contribution. That's one of the things that I think a lot of us start these businesses for. And it may not. It might be like, okay, I'm starting this business to get capital and have money to build this next thing I want to do. So I would love to like learn more about you guys and like what you're thinking with those kind of things and that side of things. Then there's the spiritual. And this is where like I am not necessarily a religious person. If you are a religious person, like this is where definitely like religion would be a tie into this. But also like I feel like I like thinking about the world around me, I'm like, okay, what kind of things am I guided by? Am I in touch with like feeling like there's a bigger picture? It doesn't have to be something that's like religion based. It can be something outside of it. And if it is religion based for you, go for it. That's something beautiful that we can like develop even more here as we think about your business. Then within the physical realm, this is where I want you guys to like also recognize to take care of yourself. So as your business grows, there are always going to be more things to do. And what happens is you get really good at doing a certain amount of things with like no clients, and then you get more clients, and then you're like, oh my God, now I'm stressed because the things I had to do are now like taking a shorter period of time, and it can feel really stressful. So we want to think about like how you are taking care of yourself and your time and how you're taking care of yourself and your finances. That's something that we want to be keeping in mind. And last but not least, we're going to be thinking about your connections. This is the emotional aspect of the wheel of life. And we're going to be thinking about the relationships you want to have in your life and how you want to create this. So, Jess, spreadsheets are a love language for me. Yes, I'm loving all of these. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be really fun. I am excited to do this work with you guys. Again, I just like can't believe this is my job. I'm like, this is the best job ever. I love this. So within this, we want to think about your 5-year plan. And the reason I'm not doing this is your current year plan. Why isn't like your annual plan or like who you're becoming as a CEO for this year? The thing is, I think that there's so much more freedom to envision and really dream when we give ourselves a little bit more runway. And so I wanted to say, like, not just this year, but in 2029, which is crazy, kind of get you to dream, like, what am I going to look like? And something that I have is like the future vision that you can feel free to go into is like, okay, what is my future self wearing? For me, I see her very clearly. She's in a white pantsuit. Her hair is done, but she's like very laid back and like, even though I can tell that she's like a badass boss, she's also like extremely loving, lighthearted, and is just like always here to guide me in my corner. And like I think I told you guys daily, whenever I'm doing my thought work, I think about like, okay, what is she thinking today? What is she doing today? And what advice would she have to give me today? So I want you guys to get that vision. Who is your future you? What do they look like? Hair, all those kind of things. And this is where we can dream a little bit and we can be like, okay, what would my growth and career, what do I want that to look like in the future? What do I want my finances to look like 5 years from now? And again, giving yourself the runway so that you don't feel the stress and pressure of it. Now, within each category, you're going to go through and I'll show you what that will look like in a moment. But we have like the health. Like, let's say I was ranking health. So, the first thing you want to do is being like, okay, what would I rank that category and why? And I would say my health, one is needing help, 10 is best. I would say my health is like a solid 3 right now. It is low. And remember, low numbers mean high potential. I know that there are, and then in the second box, you want to put why. And I like to say, like, you can do a mix of, like, okay, this is why it's not a 2, or you can say all the reasons that it's not a 7, or that it's 7 away from being a 10 in the same box. So you can be like, okay, like for me, I'd be like, okay, I at least I work out sometimes, but it's not consistent. I don't get great sleep, and I would like to cut back on my drinking. These are things that, and also I would like to lose some weight before like potentially like future lifestyles are collected, aka like getting engaged and married. So those are some things that like I'm like, okay, this is why. So if I'm thinking about me 5 years from now, what I want to do is I want to think about, okay, what does Megan in 5 years, what does it look like? And I'm like, pictured her. She's like this badass, like she's a mama and she is maybe like a new mama and she really takes care of herself. She totally has cut back on her drinking. A lot of her activities on the weekend do not involve drinking like they do currently, which also I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like right now, like I know that it's not going to be this way forever. And I'm like, this is what it is. And I can see a lot of area for growth. So it's like within that, it actually, one of my new clients, Adriana, is a sobriety coach. And every time I talk with her, I'm like, man, I'm like, this shit's resonating and it will be soon. But one of the things that, I want to do is I can dream and I'm like, oh, she is like on it. She actually plans like a little bit better for lunches because I'm like, that's definitely an area for growth. Like currently I do like a protein shake and like some leftovers. And I'm like, probably would be a better planned out for that. And she probably has a more consistent workout schedule. And that's the kind of things that and she probably like was able to like take care of her physical body a little bit more. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm like, okay, so if my future self is better at meal prepping, I'm like, okay, so I could probably take some time and at least look at what I'm eating. I know I used to be really good at my fitness pal. It's just like a way that I can like track my food, not as a way to shame myself, but just like something to be gain some awareness. I'm like, that's something I could start doing today. And actually last night I was thinking about this because I was like, I knew that that was coming. And I was like, I actually did my like my fitness pal and I was like, oh, okay, I'm like on the right track of it. Okay, awesome. I was like, I see low numbers mean high potential. There's a season for all of it. Yep. And I'm also open to all this shit changing. So essentially, like if I were to go to like my life partner relationship, if you guys, I think I talked to you guys about this when we did presentations, but literally, like, so I was with someone for 8 years. We looked at rings. He's like, peace out, move out. And I was like, oh no, this is changing my life course a fair amount. I actually did this exact presentation. It's a feature plan or long term plan. I forget what it is. But if you go back, it was the day after the breakup, not even 24 hours after the breakup happened. I was like, screw this situation. Not great, but I'm still going to do this webinar. And you can see like how I was like, oh, well, my life is kind of falling apart, but I was like, it's actually pretty good in all these other areas. So it's like we're okay here. I'm like, I know I'm living with mom and dad, but hey, my relationship with my family's grown. So I'm like, okay. So again, everyone starts somewhere and it's just a cool thing for you to do. And also, again, being flexible, knowing that things can shift. So, within the Wheel of Life exercise, again, it's totally optional, but it's something that, like, I actually, when I first did this with Rachel Bell, I listened to it every day. Every single day, I had a recording of it, and I'll bring it up for you guys. Probably get a kick out of it. But I would listen to it every day in 2020 to 2021, and or just 2021, and I would play this in the car on the way to yoga. Spiral guide. The purpose of this upward spiral guide is to reprogram baby Megs. Like so funny looking back at it. But I would literally like listen to it every day to be like, okay, this is who I'm becoming after I would do my thought work. And it was really helpful. So here is what it looks like. Where are you currently ranking and why? What it would look like to be a 10. And then if you want to write down who is your future self, like what do they actually look like? If you write down a goal, I learned in the last webinar that I did, you're 46%, I think, more likely to accomplish it just by writing it down. So already total like asset to you to just like take a minute, do some reflection time. And that even though I'm not including time for this, because I know we've got like a ton of things to coach on, um, maybe even as friends, like you guys could like regroup, share. Feel free to share this with me. And then here's the daily coaching that I have as well. Yeah, it was great. It was, and I used a voice note in my phone, and it's just fun to think back at like what that looks like before. So, you guys are doing amazing. I am going to, if you guys want to minimize my little bubble, go ahead back into the Google Classrooms. I am going to put this link in the chat so you guys can pull it up. Yes, like keeping all the ideas. And also, if you ever want it to be transcribed, you can, of course, use Slack or something like that. Would you like to make a copy of the 5-year plan template? Make a copy. And then up here, do feel free to, and if you want to make another copy of this, like for if you want to use this with clients, feel free to. I'm like, this is not mine. Like it's pieces of mine, but I like if you guys want to see, like I said, credit to these prompts for OCA and Rachel Bell for this awesome intro. Um, so feel free to do that. Oh, and I didn't list the goals. So like what is the next goals that you want to list? I should include a slide for that. Because I would love to know what your career goals are as well if you feel comfortable sharing. Go ahead and go into your folder for 6-figure systems. Again, mine's like deep within here. Create a new folder, 10 long-term plan. Save this bad boy into here. And then feel free to minimize whatever was maximized previously. Go ahead and come on back. If you take notes yourself, come on back to your notes. And let's get started with some coaching. Who I think and or
Megan,
first up,
can I ask a question about the
yes, of
homework?
course.
Okay, so I was going through it and I was trying to get a little bit of clarification. In fact, it was the
Yes.
part that you just covered. I was going through the goals of it says 5 months, year, 5-year, 10-year.
Mm-hmm.
How it was laid out, I think I
It was
struck.
confusing as could be.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with that a little bit. And I was going to create a spreadsheet, but I was like, I'm just going to go with how it's laid out. So I put down like what I wanted in 5 months, but then I put in like my 1-year belief and mindset shift. I was just trying to, focusing on create and contribute. I think that was the biggest part. And then just a note, I did find like when it talked about self-concept and character traits, I went back to the PowerPoint and I added in the question you're supposed to ask yourself. So that way I can
Oh,
reflect
so cool.
back on that.
I freaking love that. I'm like genius. And feel free, like I usually when I'm looking at like if I'm ever doing modules for another course, I always have like the video and the worksheet pulled up simultaneously. And it sounds like you did this exactly. What
Yeah.
Sharon, you're saying is that you took this and you put that here in front of here.
Let me go back. I'm sorry, I had my screen pulled up. Yes, I put the question. Yes,
Perfect.
because I just thought that was
Freaking
helpful.
genius. I was like, yes, so feel free to do that. I might even change it for the future rounds. It just already, as you guys have probably seen, that some of the slides are like a little off and changing it costs, it's like, it's just like an interesting process to go through changing anything. So, but feel free to do this. I was like, I love this idea, Sharon. So freaking good. Feel free to do that on your own. And who knows, maybe I'll like add that to the future sheet. Now, within what Sharon was saying is that the thing that I did not cover that I should definitely add a slide for, especially if it was confusing, is think about goals for your business and career. We're going to talk about yeah, like there's business and career goals. There's probably goals in like each of these categories for sure. So you've got different places and different ideas for each of those. But what I was like just giving as a guideline is like you can think about it in time frames. You can think about like, okay, what is my goal in the next 5 months, year, 5 years, 10 years, and lifetime. So that was a way that like again, I'm a rule follower and I was like, could I create as a rule to help you guys make this happen like in an easier way? So like this, my goal within the next 5 months is I would love to hire a team to support me and up level my systems for others. So like now I'm actually like taking on more people. My systems are good currently for a team of 3, but not a team of 5 to 7, which is what I'm like growing towards. So that's what I mean by that. Then oh, and the other thing that I like to do, we're going to talk about this in goal setting, what I think we'll get to in 14. But one of the things I like to do with my goals and like aspirations is instead of saying like there are different philosophies around the psychology behind the words that you use, the semantics to shift the way that you think about things. So I've heard in the past that like I want to, it puts it out into the future and it doesn't seem as tangible. It's like, so I've heard a shift to like, I will do this. Like, I will create this in my business. That's a sentence starter that you could use. And you could say, I will versus I want to. But I found that for me, going to my personal motivation, when I had the words I will, as a person who is a type 3 achiever, who is very determined to do lots of things, I felt with these words, I had a lot of pressure. When I was like, I will do this, it felt constrictive to my creativity. So I felt like I was like, oh, I'm like like I have to do this. It felt like stress, a source of stress. And I realized as I was like, I built my business, I was like, I don't want to build my business stressed. I was like, I've done so much of my life stressed. I don't want this to be a source of stress for me. If I get to choose and I'm the fucking CEO, I don't want this to be like this. So I have the words I would love to. I found is a softer way to approach it to my very harsh brain. And it actually feels like really like, you know what? I like my life is great. And I would love to just like, this would be the cherry on top of an already awesome life. I think I've shared that philosophy with you guys, like going from like bad to good versus like good to great. So instead of being like, my life is bad without a team to support me, and I will, and I need to, and I want to hire a team to support me, that seemed a little stressful for me. So the way I shifted it is like, my life is already great. It's like, without a team, I could probably make this business go to, I would say, the point where I get capped with maybe 500K. I've seen it done before and I'm like, oh, that seems just like insanely stressful. I'm like, oh, no. So I'm like, I would really love to hire a team so that I don't have 2,700 emails in my inbox. That would be great. It's like, that would be awesome for me. So those are the kind of things that like I include here. And I wanted to see if like, so it's like the 5 years, 10 years lifetime. Initially, I actually had this was the first module, but I also had goal setting as like I had like 5 modules to start. Like it was like there were like 5 different modules that I broke out in different pieces. So it's a good piece of feedback. And I want to see if that makes sense now. Lengthy explanation.
So, so basically, because I was doing this to your point, and I had like I start off with 5 months, what I wanted, like 20 clients. 1 year, I want to contribute more happiness, joy, and love to the world. And then I have more tangible things. But are we looking at as you get in other modules, we're going to break down these even more? Is that what you're saying?
We're going to break down the goal piece more
Okay.
about like how I like to talk about goals. I've got like a specific process that I go through that I will need to change the link because right now it's just like an instant link. But like the reasons why, who are you going to become again, the future self work and the obstacles and strategies as you get there. So
Okay.
that is coming, but I don't really get into like what specifically to put for these. So like the love and joy in the world, I'm like so freaking good. I love that. Um, and if people needed like specific parameters, that's the only reason why I put like 5 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, lifetime to help you like envision different like points. And you don't have like if you're like, I just want to contribute more love and joy to the world, Sharon, just by being in this group, I want you to know like check. Like you have accomplished that. Like just by being in this container, I already feel so much love and joy coming from you. And if you wanted to like a different, more specific, like I would like to hit 7 figures in my business. That would be so cool. I'm like, so again, I would love to have $1 million business. Again, writing it down for the universe and being like, hey, it's like all that goodness, you know? It's like that'd be so neat. And like so these are the kind of things that like it helps me to be like, you know, in my lifetime that'd be really cool. I would also really like to write a book. I'm like, I would love to write a book. I think it'd be cool. I don't know what it's gonna I'm probably going to write a book just about business and like systems. It's gonna be like very rote, but I have heard the way that I've discussed my past is pretty hilarious. And there have been some requests for an autobiography in the, the way that Someone was like, I will ghostwrite it for you. And I was like, wow, if you're offering, I was like, I did. I put it into the universe. I would love to write a book. So maybe that'll be the book. Who knows? But that's the kind of like the things that like I would love to like get some specifics and like be like, okay, what kind of thing like genuinely like if we could create anything with this business, what would it look like? Like what would it actually be? And also being like totally subject to change and being like, okay, yeah, and if this doesn't exactly work the way that I thought it would, being like super flexible. So yeah. How does that feel, Sharon?
Yeah, I think that works. I think I was getting stuck on like,
The
I think it's
numbers.
good to go ahead and just brainstorm and write all of it down and then put the months and the time frame to it, I think.
I freaking love that. Okay, yeah. So like another way you can do brain, like just do a brainstorm of it all. Like what if I could create anything with this business? Like what in the world would it be? And it doesn't even have to be like a career. Like another thing that like I would love to start and fund a nonprofit. I'm not sure what it'll be, but I'm like that would be so freaking cool to do. I really think it'd be it's not related to this business, but this is a contribution I want to do in the world. So it's like, it doesn't have to be like career contribution. It doesn't have to be related to this business. You might want to start another business, like all the things, and then condense if you want to, or just have a list of them, which is great too. I just wanted to start at 5. Awesome. Any other questions about just the act, just questions, and then we'll get into coaching. I'm feeling good. All right, Anise, you mentioned that you would like some coaching. Could you start us off with an awesome win? And then we're going to get going.
Awesome win.
Or anyway,
Um,
all wins are awesome.
yeah, pressure, pressure.
No pressure. The best win you've ever had ever.
Um, so quite a few people know in this group. So I had a complete meltdown last Wednesday night, and I wrote about it and I put it out on social media. And the win is that I didn't hide. I showed up in my vulnerability, and the support that came back from the network was incredible.
I'm so glad.
And the win is, one, that I showed up. Two, that I've obviously made some amazing connections so that people felt that they could support me, which was lovely.
I love that.
Mm.
And again, I really do think like maybe not this round, but in future rounds, I think I'm gonna
Mhm.
combine the groups because everyone's like I'm still thinking about how to do this, but the conversations, it's like if you guys could just like meet and just like it's so awesome to hear both of y'all's thoughts. And what another person was saying about networks this morning is that anyone in your network also becomes what'd you call it? It was like the best I'm gonna need to find the word. I was like it's like they're the you're like they become like we're all going to become like anybody who knows a founder that needs some fucking coaching. Anise, you are a person. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And she called it something like it's like you're our best. It's like sales. This not sales. What is it? It's
Advocate?
brand ambassador. It's like I was like, I would not have come up with
Uh-huh.
that word, but a brand ambassador is like, we are all going to be brand
Yeah,
ambassadors for each other because we all want each other to do
yeah,
well. So it's like, I'm just really glad that you showed up. And I'm so glad that we have such a strong community in here and everywhere that you've
yeah.
touched is like just a sign to like the ability that you have to make connections is like just so beautiful.
Mm.
So
No,
very
that
proud of
was,
you. Brand
thank you.
ambassadors is the word. What could you like some coaching on?
So I was going to be technical again.
Let's be technical. I was like, I love
But
that.
actually, so there's two things. So I'll give you both and then you can decide
I'm guessing there's
when to
probably a
start.
technical and mindset question. So bring it.
Okay, so the technical one is so I got quite a few new people following me from my Instagram this week. Funny enough that, and one lady is a bit like you, and so she reached out. Was like, and she was a little bit snarky in her not so nice as you. And anyway, what she said is, I really like your posts. However, would you like some advice on how they could be better? And I was like, fuck you. I've got Megan. Fuck off. I didn't obviously say any of that.
I was not
I was like,
expecting that at all, and that's why I took a sip. I should not have. That's hilarious. I was like, yeah, the
so
lessons
anyway,
from outreach.
so it was interesting. So I think my technical thing is, do you mind, not now, but do you mind at some point going through my Instagram and giving me an audit? That's my
Yes.
technical. Is that
Oh
all
my
right?
God.
Whenever, just come back to me. It could be by the end of the month because I'm not going to change anything now. But
Mhm.
for March, it'd be nice for you. I wouldn't mind if you came back and said, yes, I can see good, but da 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 da.
Yes.
That'd be amazing. Thank you.
And I would
Um,
just for
okay,
you,
sorry.
because one of the things that I would love for every single person, one of the things that like, so if you guys aren't following Charlotte Smith, she's a goddess and incredible, and I love her. And she was my breakout room instructor while I was in 200K. And one of the things that she had me do to really step into thought leadership, you're
Mm,
also going to be coaching founders, right? So you're going to be
mm,
coaching probably other entrepreneurs that I think this is an opportunity and a gift that one of the things that she had me do, which I was like so pissed at her at first. So please don't be mad at me. I was like, I'm a people pleaser by trade. But she was like, answer your own question first, because then you
mm,
can step into thought leadership and be like, these are the things that I, as a thought leader, am seeing um in my marketing that
mhm,
I am like, this is, and one of the things that I love to do is like, what's working. This goes for everybody. If you have any questions, like try and see like I'd be really curious to see like what are my own answers? What do I notice? And there's
mm,
probably going to be other stuff that I see that you just might be lacking, like the experience or time that I've just had. But and that's why we get freaking coached. Cause I a lot of times like I'll do this for my coach and she's like, I hear that. That's really good. And absolutely this is something completely different that I see. Or it's like they're like, okay, great. I would love to improve. Again, coming to that I would love to language.
mhm,
What was something that you would love to improve? And what is something
mm.
I see as an opportunity to do differently? You don't have to use the long words. Again, it just helps from I think like our um from our schooling days where I think a lot of times it can be again, apologies as a former teacher, but it can be really like evaluations can be really intimidating, I think a lot of the time. And if you can be like, okay, as a CEO, I don't want my evaluations to be intimidating. I think this is language that makes it a little bit softer and more approachable. So love this. And I will for sure give you this by the end of the month, for sure. And I'm putting it in my calendar right
Thank
now.
you.
So I won't forget because I will forget and you know me. And if I don't
Mhm.
do it, feel free to harass me and be like, audit. I was like, audit
Thank
IG Anise. I was like, because I will not take it as harassment. I'll be like, oh shit. I'm like, this is something I want to
you.
do. So
Sweet.
it is now on the calendar, more likely to happen than not.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, thank you for your patience and harass me. So that's the
No.
first thing. Um, what's
So I
coming
think
up
the
when I say
second,
this?
yeah, so the second thing, no, yes, so that's really, it is actually really good to have. I know you're right, having it fed back to you, but that's what we do as coaches, isn't it? No, you
Of
want the
course.
answers from me? How about no, that would be good. Yeah, no, I will do that. I will look back at it and because my gut, it doesn't matter what my gut feeling is. I think I can go and look at that. That'll be good.
Yeah, just like get a gut check and be like, okay, this is
Mhm.
like what I see.
Yeah.
And like this is like my strength. And it's also gonna give me insight into your strengths as a coach to hear like, okay, like not like no pressure, like literally like no pressure on this at all. Like just it could be 2 seconds. Me and my friend Michelle, we like would text each other evals from consults and we just use talk to type and it would take us like maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Like truly just give me your gut instinct and I'll help you like play on the things that I'm hearing you say as like your strengths probably as a coach and like your ways to like hear it and other things like that. So great. Love this.
Okay.
And I'm guessing there are more questions than answers. So we'll give you another. I was like, it sounded like there were 2 questions. So what was
Oh
your
yeah,
second
so
question?
yeah, the mindset piece is
Yep.
actually it was sparked off what you just said about being it's a type 3 achiever. So,
Ah,
so I was just like spot. So my meltdown the other day, what came up after the meltdown was peeling off the onion bits and bits, and there's a whole bunch of shame in
mm,
I must be doing this wrong.
mm,
I'm doing everything I'm being told to do. I am I am working my butt, I am hustling so much.
mm-hmm,
I'm doing everything. So there must be a problem with me, right?
mm,
So I must be a fucking loser. Now,
mm.
you don't negate that. That is the shame talk. Yes,
Yep.
that's the evidence that my brain has said, well, obviously, the only way it must look is this must be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, and I've never had that before. That
Mm,
high achiever aspect of my brain is like, you've always known how to sort shit out. You just work harder, you look at things differently, you're doing all the right things. So yeah.
yeah.
So it's just working with the old script of how I've achieved things in the past
Mm-hmm.
and rewriting the script to do this. This is a very different, and it's a different beast. It's slower, potentially slower, not always. Obviously, I don't want to put that out there. Like it has to be this,
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what I wanted to bring actually.
I think that's a
And
really,
yeah, and I didn't even know that I was calling myself a loser actually.
yeah. Isn't that
I
fun how
never,
our brains like
yeah.
brain? Like, trust me, and I just appreciate you being like vulnerable enough to share that with this crew. Like, first off, like, thank you. We are not, this stays here. We are not judging you at all. In fact, like, I know that every single person in this room is probably going to have the same conversation with themselves in this stage of your business for sure. Like, at some
Mm,
point, I'm not sure if you've had it yet. Everyone's like nodding. Oh, I see a lot of heads nodding. So I'm like, it's sounding like this is something that a lot of us have experienced. And
mm,
I want you to know that you mentioned, how do I continue so there were 2 things. How do I
mm,
continue doing this with the shame talk going
mhm,
on? And I actually think that's like the most ingenious question, because I will tell you that it doesn't necessarily, there's good news and bad news.
mhm,
The good news is you learn how to do things with the shame talk happening
mhm,
constantly.
mhm.
Fun fact. I will say that it doesn't ever go away. It just comes in different flavors. It
Mm,
is fascinating. I literally like there's never been another thing in my life that I've had so many it's just fascinating. Like, even when things are quote unquote working, going faster, whatever the thoughts are, my brain is still braining the whole fucking time. So it's
mm,
like, it's little, I think the good question, a really good question to ask is like, how to move even with the shame t-
mm,
talk is a really good question to ask. And I think the first step to moving with the shame talk is normalizing it, being like, this is a normal part of being a business owner. Every
mm,
other career gives you a set path. And
mm.
also, what are the odds that you coach founders? It's like,
Yeah.
I know that you're learning this because you're going to help other people go through this. It's the
Yeah.
perfect lesson that is coming in the worst
Yeah.
present to you. It sucks, but I know that once you figure out how you figure this out, you'll start to speak
Mm,
about it in your marketing. You're going to attract the people who need you and people who are like clear about this. So I would say normalizing shame talk will happen.
mhm,
um Again,
mhm,
coming back to Charlotte Smith, who's just a glorious human, she was like, oh, your brain's just braining.
mm,
So that was like a really, like, I learned her, like, or she said that in August, and I use that now all the time. I'm like, oh, my brain is just braining. Like I changed my prices and worked for a year every single day to be like 12K is worth it. 12K for one-on-one. It's totally worth it. It's great. It's fine. Every single day, except for December, every fucking day. Didn't do thought work in December. And I'm like, I think 12K is too much, y'all. I'm like, it's too much. Nobody's gonna pay it. And I'm like, what in the world? And I'm like, brain, can you just chill out? I'm like, but it happened literally this week, and I was just like, okay, brain doing the things. My brain is just braining and it's looking for problems. And my job is to redirect it to solutions. So like it's like your job over your brain is redirect to solutions, which literally it requires you up leveling every piece of your brain. Like, because it's like this is the part of you that goes 80% of the time. So of course it's gonna feel really, oh man, what did I do? It's gonna feel very different. And when you were like a different beast, I'm like, it sure as shit is. It is a different kind of thing than most careers. And there's nothing has gone wrong. We just want to like redirect to like solutions and or like tangible like number things that can become solutions. Okay. The other thing I want to offer to you, well, I'll get into this in a second, but the other thing that I've been working on with people who have made millions of dollars are learning the skill at that level. I'm everyone in here. I want you to leave this conversation with this knowledge. And you know it intellectually, but I just want you to hear it again. You are not your business. It is not your self-worth. It's so easy to tie you as a human being to your business. Another reason why we have the CEO self concept is I am not Six Figure Systems. I am not Megan Wing, the business coach. I am Megan Wing, the business coach, and the daughter, and the girlfriend, and the best friend, and the awesome cat and dog mom. Like, it's like I am so much more than this business. I'm also the person who needs to have less wine on weeknights. I'm like, that's also a part of it's like the good, the bad, the ugly. I am not my business. My business is something that I've created in the world that is separate from me entirely. And I know that you hear this and I know you probably understand this, but it's going to, anytime that you notice your brain being like, I must be doing this wrong. I've been doing, it's like, there must be a problem with me. I'm a loser. Just being like, oh, I'm not my business. This isn't me. And then you can redirect your brain to actual things that you can solve. These are the next things. It's like, okay, so it's like, what am I doing? Let's get numbers. Let's talk about this. If there is stuff that and another thing is like, another belief that I have as a CEO self concept that we talked through today is that, it's like, I'm probably going to do it wrong the first time, many times, but I will get it right eventually and I will figure it out. Like, and then I think we've talked about this many times here. Everything is figure outable. Like, so it's like, it's just a lot easier and faster to figure outable things when you're not like stuck in the self-worth spiral. So brain is just braining. Remind yourself you're not your business and then redirect to solutions. So I would say that this is how to move with shame talk. I would say that if I were to give a 3-step solution, how do you fucking go forward with this in your brain? These are the questions. What comes up with this?
I love it because I could already see myself being like, I've got to sort out my shame, right?
Yes,
So,
it's a shame sort.
because that's what I do. It's like, there's a problem, so I must sort this out. So what that's so lovely. Like the first one, you're already like, it just accept it. I mean, I actually, weirdly enough, this weekend, even though I really love that everything is figure outable, I was talking to a couple of friends of mine, and they're like, but what about trust and acceptance? How does that come into play? And I was like, ooh. Anyway, I won't go into the whole conversation because we've got lots of things to talk about. But it's the same. Actually, you're saying that normalizing is like, accept that this is what the brain does. Trust that this is what it's doing, and it's doing it for the right reasons. And I always think about, and I forgot this, it's like, thank you, brain, for trying to, so it was a good conversation, Jess. I know you're trying to help me. I know you're trying to sort me out. I appreciate you doing that. Now fuck off and sit in the corner. So just like that sort of like, thank you. Sorry, yeah, I always swear. So that's really helpful to get that reminder. The whole thing about the second point of, are you not business? So because I'm working so hard, that I'm out of whack. So everything is about, yes, thank you. Everything is about work at the moment, right? So I'm not getting that. I'm not giving myself a break. I'm not practicing what we preach. Just like it's everything. And, I'm thinking about it. I'm, it's out of whack. So that's why I think it's spiraled into I am my business. So that's, again, really helpful to remember that this is just a thing I'm working on, put it to bed, and actually, go and get a boyfriend. It's probably a good idea. Anyway, that can be, I don't have time for a boyfriend, but anyway, that's what I keep saying to myself. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about my love life either. So, too many boyfriends in my life. It's over. Redirect to solutions. Yes. And I think the reason why 3 is so good is because if I'm doing it from the place of shame, if I'm doing it from the place of all the other places, I'm in desperation. Like if I just keep, and it's got that sense of like, again, the hustle culture. So if I've normalized, like basically settled down the nervous system, which is freaking out, settle that down, normalize it, accept it, be grateful for it, then look out, redirect to solutions.
Yes.
And what I like about what you've just given me is a sense of like, this is not more work for me to do, because otherwise I must do more thought work. And then that'll be another thing on my schedule. It's actually, it's just like, Anise, just, my mother thinks I'm absolutely bonkers. I'm like, I've gone up 3 levels. She goes, I didn't think you could go up any more levels. You're a fucking nutter. Just like, just breathe. Can you put that down? Breathe.
Calm nervous system and breathe.
Yeah.
And one of the things that like I want to offer to all of you is that there is always more. You can always do more to build your business. There are millions of things. There are a billion business coaches that are out there in the world, right? So one of the things that I like to do is like, I like to think about, okay, what are the things that I actually want to do? If I could make anything work, what do I actually want to do? And this coming back to your CEO self concept, like, what the heck do I want this business to look like? Like, what do you want? And like, so I want you to think about like for your business. Now, there might be some things. It's like there's gonna be some like want to do's, and there's gonna be some like see. I was like, I want to say have to do's, but it's like see that other people are telling me that I trust are saying to do some things, and I want to give them a try. I want to give it a try for a certain period of time. So it's like that. It's like, again, you don't have to do anything that anyone ever says ever. But it's like, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm like, I really want to do this. And these are other things that I'm like, logically, I'm like, if I've invested time and energy and maybe even finances, these are things that I'm like, I'm going to consider doing this. And the biggest piece I want everybody to hear, I want to give it a try for a certain period of time. Being like, okay, if I feel like this is not, like, again, that's why we're going to talk next week is annual plan, but we're also going to talk about the monthly eval in the week after that. But that's why we never go more than a month doing so, like hitting our head against the wall, banging your head against the wall with something that might actually, there is a formula, Anise, for your business to work. I know it. but it's every formula for every single business is going to be slightly different than the next. It's all individualized. So I'm just giving you the things that have worked for me and pretty much literally everyone else that I see. I'm like, these are the things that I'm like, let's give these things a try. And then we can always switch it. We can adopt, adapt, abandon as needed. And we can try completely different things. That's why this program is 6 months. Like, adapt, abandon as needed. But it's so much easier. You were freaking spot on. And I'm like, I want you to like make like, I mean, like, these are all such good posts for your people too. Again, sometimes I like to wait to post to until I'm past something. And then I can be like, okay, it's like I can actually post about it because I'm not as raw and like feel open to like receiving like actual things. Cause like, like there are some people that I'm so proud of them for like, I can't like cry on a in a post or something like that. Like if I'm doing a reel, I've done it before. I have done it, but it's like I have a very difficult time when I'm in it to actually give valuable information. A lot of times it's just like it's like this is happening. I'm like it's like this isn't helping anybody. So a lot of times I don't share those times. I promise you, I go through them too. Everybody goes through them. It's so comforting to hear. And I also want you to know that this is not the end. You are going to get through this. It feels like shit. That's why we're in it together with like Misery Loves Company. We're gonna be like here. We're together. And you're gonna figure it out. I know that you will. You are so determined. I genuinely think that you're meant to help these amazing founders that are so fucking lucky to work with you. Like I cannot wait for you to start bringing them in. This is the messy middle. It's like when you're like, ah, I see where I am. I see where I want to go, and I'm trying to figure out my way to get there. But I know that you're gonna find it out. And I think the reason why you're experiencing this right now is because you're supposed to help them find this out too.
That's really
You
nice.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna, and I don't know if everything happens for a reason, but you can find a reason for everything, and that is the reason I am offering to you.
No, absolutely. Lovely. Oh, so good.
I love you. I was like, and I just had like a couple of other things, like, so literally, like, I was in hypnotherapy on Friday, and I was just like, I went into a random ass dark place. It was just like out of the blue, which is so fun. Isn't that fun when like you just like go to like the darkest, worst place ever for like no reason at all? It's the best. But I was like, that's why we have therapy and coaching. And I the fuck off and sit. Thank you for trying to protect me and fuck off and sit in the corner. I literally had to do that with like my middle school self, who was
Yeah.
like, "You should just end it." I'm like, "We are not suicidal anymore. What the fuck?" I was like, "That was a long time ago." I'm like, "What is happening here?" I was like, I had to go into my brain and bring my higher self, and she was like, "Hey, dude, love you. See, this worked, and you figured it out in middle school, but we are not 13 anymore. Can you fucking chill out?" And like, you're okay. It's worked out. I love you. But dude, this was too far. I was like, that's not okay. We don't talk to ourselves like this anymore. And so I literally like, had to like fuck off and sit in the corner. I had that moment and I want to normalize it. It's normal for all of us. Biggest and also I would offer that the breakdowns happen right before the breakthrough. So it's like if you had a breakdown, breakthrough is coming. It's like awesome. The other thing is that like if it's a less intense breakdown, that is, I'm guessing that like this stuff is like probably from like old trauma, like an old shit. Like that's where mine is. Like obviously I should have said like trigger warning. I'm like talking about deep shit. Again, this is like my friends like, you talk about things that are very dark in a weird way. And I'm like, I know. So in that event, it's like, sorry, trigger warning, here we are. But the trauma that's always like, I now know my trauma points because I had to go through so much. Like there were so many things that I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is the breakup point. Oh, this is middle school me. Oh, this is third grade me. Like it's like I know my people now. I know my
Your parts.
I don't like my shadows. What'd you call it?
The shadows. Yeah, shadows. They're like,
Yeah,
they're
it's
your
like,
parts. Yeah.
yep,
The shadows.
shadow
Yeah, totally.
selves slash past. Um, so it's like now it's just easier for me to see it.
I
This
love that.
and I can like be like, oh, there's this again. I'm like, well, that's random. And I was like, but I will say, so once you go through this first time, you're getting that awareness, it's gonna come up again. You're probably gonna put yourself in your business. It's gonna happen more than just today. And I also will offer that once you get through it the first time, it does become easier Like, so I used to like spend, and like we'll talk about like energy cycles after we talk about monthly evals. But now my cycles are a lot faster for me to stay in like a high, you might have heard of high value cycle, low value
Mhm.
cycle. I don't love the word value because you're valuable in any event, but like when I could feel myself going into a downward spiral 2 weeks ago and
Mm.
I got out of it on Friday.
Mhm.
Previously, it was like 8 months low value. It's like it
Mm.
took a lot longer because I wasn't as aware. I didn't know how to talk to that version of me. And I think that like
Mm.
also like the like thank you for trying to protect me. Like I didn't have as much acceptance of the pieces of me that I didn't love. And so
Yeah.
I would fight it a lot and it would be like resistance avoidant and reacting to this for a longer period of time. Whereas now I'm like, okay, something's up. Let me reach out for help. Something's going on and get my ass coach, therapy, whatever I need to get out of this cycle. And now I know how to redirect myself faster.
Mm.
Another thing, like, so first off, how does that land? Like,
Yeah.
it'll get better faster. I promise. It,
No, it's good. It's
this is
good.
the worst part. And I needed somebody to tell me this is not going to be like this forever. I swear to all of you, it is not like this forever. It does get better. I promise. Because I needed somebody to tell me that. So I would be like, do it. I was like, if this is going to be like this for the next 5 years, I am out. And it isn't. I promise. I was like, I swear it
Yeah.
doesn't. It gets so much better. And then there's obviously ebbs and flows. When you get
Mm.
triggered in, so as I say, the trauma is like really like re-triggering. Like it
Mm.
might be like something really intense, like what you experienced.
Mhm.
Another thing that's why I have the Byron Katie's 5 questions. If it's
Mm.
just like a small trigger, like
Mm.
that's like I'm just like I feel discontent about this, like I don't
Mm.
love this, then I can go in and do work with that daily.
Mm.
For everybody who are all going to experience this. And then the last thing I would add is that like, okay, yes, the business is difficult right now. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is. That's just how it is. It's always at the beginning. It's always the hardest. However,
Mhm.
if we can focus on those other opportunities, the other aspects of life, and let your
Mm.
brain about your business and then also have the other aspects of life, it can be really helpful to just redirect. It's like, okay, well, it feels like a dumpster fire, but there is actually a lot of other good shit going on.
Yeah.
And I can like redirect myself in that way.
Yeah.
So that is just like an opportunity for that. And feel free to
Mm.
teach this to your people too, for sure.
Mhm.
But
No,
I love
agreed.
this. How are you feeling now?
Mm. Yeah, I'm glad I bought it.
Good. I was like, I
Mm.
love you. And if
Mm.
you like, seriously, like every week, if you need like recoaching on this, coming from a different angle, you know I've got you.
Mm. No, that's good. Thank you. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to dash now because I've got to go and meet someone. Not
Ooh,
a boy,
just kidding.
but but a guy who is gorgeous. But I will watch all of your coaching. I know he's gorgeous. Thanks, Sharon. I watch all of your coaching later.
I love it. Amazing.
Yeah,
Well, this is
yeah.
awesome. I was like, I don't know if I can't find the freaking chat. I
Oh,
was
they're all
like,
just saying they love me. Don't worry, they don't love you, Megan. They love me.
oh, yeah, they do. I was like, look at, oh, yes, love, love. This is so good. Oh my God,
It-
hypnotherapy is the best. I'm literally like, yes, Mel Higgs needs lots of hugs and also go in the corner. Love, so good. I love you guys all so much. This is like fucking awesome. Okay, but yeah, I was like, yeah, I love all these comments. Oh yes, the person I mentioned was in 200K. I'm gonna send you guys Charlotte Smith's Instagram because she's incredible. She coaches farmers and she made 800,000 last year. She's been in the industry for 10 years, but like she's like the most ridiculous, like adorable person ever. And I love her. She says like I'm her little sister. And I'm like, that's I'm like, it's really I'm like, oh my God, thanks. But she's the best, and I'll put her Insta in here. But like look at how precious she is. She's just the fucking best. And she's so awesome. So yeah, like her stuff is like really interesting. It's all about farms, but like I still like get her emails because I just love her. Um, speaking of which, Sharon, I'm gonna give me what you got, girl. Start with a win. How are you feeling?
Okay. I thought there was somebody ahead of me, but okay.
Oh,
Um,
is there? I was like, I do see. I was like, I'm just going based on the classroom and the order that I see you, but I know we'll be able to get through everybody.
no, that's fine. I thought you said something about it in the classroom and okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So my win is I started two things. One, I started working on my webinar and went over that a little bit with Anise on a call earlier this week. And the other one is I went live on LinkedIn.
Can
And
you do that?
Yes, and it didn't have to be perfect. And I connected with you and some other ones. So I haven't done reels or comments, but just getting back on LinkedIn and having my business up there and putting connections out there to people I know. That's my win.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I've got goosebumps. I'm like, this is the first step to social. It's going to be an adventure, but we are here for it. We're celebrating you. I'm so proud of you. Connecting to people you know. So fucking good. What can I coach you on?
Okay, so my webinar. So here's the thing. I spent quite a bit of time writing a webinar, and then I was like, okay, this is way too long. So then I switched my topics to go over the 80-20 analysis to show people how can that help with their lives and not doing it all. And my question is, I think I've shortened it, but there's a lot of information. My question is, do you have a rule that you utilize, or that, again, so you're giving them an hors d'oeuvre and you're not giving them the full meal?
Okay. Yes. Can you give me the synopsis and I will give you so if you were to give the whole meal, I can help you pare it down.
Okay. So I created a spreadsheet that actually walks you through 3 steps to looking at. Okay, I have the PowerPoint presentation, and then I felt like I'm like with you, I think spreadsheets are helpful. And to me, it was seeing the steps and actually walking yourself through the questions was the helpful part. So
okay, the questions on my spreadsheet or
I created a get clarity analysis. So then on the spreadsheet, like step 1 is to identify your zone of genius, your 20%. So where are your unique abilities? What activities bring you joy? What do you add most value to my company, my team, my family?
I love this.
And then determine the insignificant. Step 2 is determining the insignificant 80%. So then that isn't at your highest value. And then step 3 is getting clarity of what creates. So basically eliminating those time stressors, which are the 20%, that then cause the 80% of like your emotionals, your stress, all that kind of stuff. And so it's that process.
Absolutely.
The 4th step is so basically I would say there's 5 steps. So then it's take action. So you want to actually take action in eliminating those, or, outsourcing them or delegating them. And then the 5th step is make sure that you lather, rinse, and repeat. Basically, you calendar, so that way you go back and you review this like quarterly.
Okay. I love it. Do this quarterly. You are like on fire. I love all these ideas. I feel like it's so, so good. And what I want to offer, it's interesting. People only hear 20% of what you say on a webinar.
Yes.
So
that's why I had this spreadsheet. So that way because I feel like when I go to a webinar, I like to walk away with something that's tangible, because then it was worth my time.
Perfect. Okay. So we love a good takeaway. I would love to. So the other thing I want to offer is that we want to give them a takeaway that gives them, I would say, something they can implement quickly. By quickly, I mean something that's like 3 to 5-ish minutes, and like kind of have like a deeper understanding of this. The other thing is, because you have watched all of my webinars, the thing that I did at the beginning that I'm shifting from is not only way to give people a lot of information, but the next step wasn't necessarily to work with me. The next step was fill out the spreadsheet. I literally gave spreadsheets. So I want to do a mix of like giving something a quick takeaway. And I also want to honor that you've created some badass intellectual property that as someone is working with you, what I would love is that like this spreadsheet is something that you utilize potentially with clients, and we choose a piece of it that you can teach on the webinar, but like maybe not the whole thing. So it's like with this would be like, and I would need to see your PowerPoint slides, but that would just be my initial feedback on the appetizer versus the whole meal, making it maybe a little bit less than 5 steps. If we could maybe think about that, I think that like 1, 2, and 3 are to dos, and 4 and 5 are to remembers. So, or like this is kind of like something that could be done on the consult, or not on the consult, on the webinar. These are things that could be done after the webinar potentially. And I also want to like remind you that like within people going to this webinar, the thing that's really going to benefit them, instead of 60 minutes of their life, 6 months with you. So we want them to, that's the only reason, not because I think that it's like a bait and switch situation. It's more so like, how can I give them something that like anybody who even is just working with me for free, like, or even just seeing this for free, they like feel like they got value, and also give them a takeaway, or and also give them something to utilize going forward. So for you, what's coming up now that you see that? I think that the reason why you had this question is I think you knew that this might be like subconsciously or consciously, you might have known that this might be a smidge much.
Yes, I think, but I think to really understand the 80-20 rule, you kind of have to understand what it does for you. And the reason why I created the 5 steps in its spreadsheet is because I felt like it was too long in the PowerPoint. And so I took it, I just mentioned the highlights in the PowerPoint, and then the spreadsheet goes into more like details of questions you ask yourself. So that way I could shorten the slide and the PowerPoint, but then the thinking, that the process that you have to do of your why and the feeling, all that kind of, that's just noted in the spreadsheet. So that way it's shortened that. But again,
Okay.
maybe that's too much. Like I explained where it comes from, how it's useful both in business and in your personal life. And then, and then just the walkthrough is the spreadsheet.
Okay. So I think that you could go with this presentation exactly as is, and I think it would be fucking phenomenal. I think you're gonna knock it out of the park, and it's gonna be like one of the best first webinars ever. I also think that like from that, you're gonna get data, and we'll learn, and we'll be like, okay, was it too much? And the things that we're gonna be looking for data for are like people signing up, coming live, booking consults, booking as clients. And also like I'm guessing they're going to sign up for their join email list, right?
Right.
Right.
Correct.
So the other thing that you want to be thinking about this is that like there are 2 kinds of webinars I like to think about. There are nurture webinars, and then there are selling webinars. I think that this webinar could do both. I think it could nurture and sell. I think it could be a mix of both things. I think that it's more of a nurture. If I look at this like in its entirety, I think this is more of a nurture webinar. I'm about to do a nurture webinar for marketing. I haven't done one. Like the things that you saw, those were like nurture webinars with the goal of more people signing up on my email list than to be like booked by the end of the week.
Okay, and so when you, just to help me understand the definition, so when you say book by the end of the week would be like your promotion that you were just doing to sign people up for your next
Mastermind. Yes.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the
I
word.
got you. I was like, I
And
got
then-
you.
And then the nurture would be like the teaching and training.
Mhm.
Is that the correct?
Teach.
Okay.
So the nurture webinar is going to be teach, train, position yourself as a leader.
Okay.
Still has a call to action, but it's a bit softer. The whole point is for them to get that positioning. The selling webinar, the objective is to sign up. So it's like still have a CTA,
Yes.
just a bit of a softer sell and more informational about program.
Okay.
This one is like sign up, strong CTA, like hard sell about program.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that this is going to be about program. I think that this is it's sounding like more of a nurture webinar to me. What do you think?
I would agree. And I think that's a good thing.
I think so too. Let's think about what we can glean from this. First off, there's a whole fuck ton of I was like, it was so funny. My niece was like, you sorry for cursing. I was like, oh, I curse like all the time. I was like, sorry about that. But you're going to gain experience with the tech. Like I think that like the reasons to do our why behind it is there's a tech learning curve. Like so you're going to figure out the tech, you're going to get the learning curve, you're going to get your email list growing, and you're going to be positioning yourself as an expert. And just to give people a reason to be interested to you. I would also interested. The other thing is like people signing up, people and other data is like this joining the email list. I would love to have some goals for you here too.
Okay.
Like what would be cool? Like how many people would you like to sign up? Or would you love? What would be fun for you for like people to sign up for this webinar?
How many people?
Yeah.
It would be great if I had 20, but like I know you said even like your first webinars, they're like 2 people. So even if I had 2, I'd be happy.
Okay, I was like, literally, that's why I like it. It's like, I would love to have 20 people. I know that in the course of your business, there's no way that you're not gonna have 20 people on a webinar. And so we want between 2 and 20 people. That would be super cool. Like, that would be awesome. What about people? Do you want people to join? How many people do you want to join your email list? Same around, I would say people signing up, joining your email list because you don't have I would say this is just like building your like LinkedIn presence. Like I'm thinking is like you're coming out strong, positioning like, hey, this is what I do. I'm like, I can help you. How many people would you like to come live?
I would say that come live is about the same. However, I do know like a lot of people don't like they come and watch it later because it doesn't fit with their schedules, and that's fine as well.
Okay, awesome.
But I'd
So
like to have at least one person live would be good. So I'm not
wouldn't that be
just talking.
great? I'm like, I think that would be really fun. Like, and I was like, I'm hoping,
All
and
of you have to come. No.
yeah, everybody's gonna come. It's like fun fact, one's everybody free. But it's like
I'll come to yours, you come to mine.
I love that. I was like, I literally like I said my mom come to every time. And I was like, always like my mom until I was like I had her and my ex at the time, they both came to my first webinar and they didn't even tell them about the next webinar. It was like ridiculous. But so what we would do is like when you're in business, you're learning a lot about how to make predictions and we're just kind of like figuring out, okay, like so this is what we would like. This would be awesome. How many people would you like to book a consult from this?
5.
Booked consults. How many new clients would you like as a result of this webinar?
5.
5. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we've got this. We're like,
Optimistic.
boom. I love it. Dude, that's the best way to do it. Okay. So what would you need to think? And we can start either the A line or the thought line. But I want you to think about like, what kind of things would you, first off, if we're going to like future self concept, what is
Mhm.
the version of you that has 20 people coming, that have 20 people coming live, all these consults? What is she thinking about this webinar? What's like a sentence that she has going on in her head?
That this is a creative, useful tool everyone can use.
Cool.
And I'm fun.
I love that. Can use and I'm fun. And I'm gonna just add another thought. It's like they are gonna want to work with me because of this. How does that feel?
That feels good.
Okay. What would be an emotion that you want to take with you as you do the next actions for this and as you're on the webinar? Like confident, secure.
Confident came up first in my mind. However, I was thinking
Joyful.
joyful. Like I want, like you don't want to. I'm used to giving presentations in front of people, and so webinar is a little bit different. I mean, I've done it at work, but it's a little bit different for me. But I'm confident, but you don't want to be. You want to be able to connect.
Awesome. So then the next thing is connecting to people. How are you going to market it?
Word of mouth, in person, and then LinkedIn.
Okay. How many LinkedIn posts do you want to do?
3 to 5.
3 to 5 posts. Okay. So we are going to give our best educated guess is that if we do 3 to 5 LinkedIn posts and you market through word of mouth and word of person and you're actually connecting with people, this is the result that we would like. We're like, this is our best guess. This is our goal. This is the circumstance that we are trying to create. So from there, when you finish the webinar, you're going to have data. You might get 20 people right away, and that's all you need. Fucking awesome. It's like, okay, cool. Now, if I want 40, what would that look like? Now, and then if we don't necessarily, it's like wherever there is a discrepancy between reality and the goal, then we just get to choose, okay, what do we want to shift? And then that's where you can be like in the CEO mindset, not in the like the self-worth mindset and being like, okay, business is a game. Here are the things, here are the pieces. I'm going to choose this to get through the maze to get to the result I want. It's almost like the mousetrap game. I don't know if you guys ever played that. Like, but it's like where you have like the cheese and it's like you're trying to get to the cheese. Like, anyways, it's like 90s game. But it was like one of those things that like you had to build like a maze to get to the cheese. And it's like, so we're just like thinking, okay, these are the pieces that I think I need to get to the cheese. The other thing is, I want to offer everybody is that there are going to be compounding results from the actions you take now that you'll reap the rewards of in the future. So, in the future, maybe you take this exact same formula and 3 to 5 times that you post, it brings in 20 people. If it maybe if like, you know what, if there's a discrepancy in the future, but those 3 to 5 posts that you do in the future had the 3 to 5 posts you had from this launch and the 3 to 5 posts from last launch. And so it's going to be the compounding effects. You don't necessarily have to do more work. It's just the consistent work that I wouldn't tell Anise that as well. Necessarily more work, just consistent work to make it work. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense because I posted this to you in the comments, but you were talking, you talked about your sharing your breakup on one of your webinars and your plan and stuff. And that, I would say I watched all your webinars, but that's when I really felt your heart and your courage that made me lead. So see, then that later
Yeah.
you became your client. So
It's literally like the compounding results of the
yes,
shit show I was in 2022. And if I had just like been like, oh, okay, webinars don't work because like this, and the only reason why, if you guys go back and watch it, all these people came to it is all my friends were like, everybody get on this webinar. Megan's still doing it. She just went through a breakup. Everyone needs to come. Like random people like this. At the end, I like cut it off because it was like people from high school that like wanted to talk and they were like, how have you been, dude? Like, and I was like, we're going to have this conversation after this webinar. Thank you to all that have come. No one was a new person. Everyone on that webinar was just friends and fam that were like literally just like down to support. And if I had made the assumption like no new people want to see this, you never would have seen it.
yes.
So freaking proud of you. I love this. And this is just the beginning. And your Sharon is going to watch this for you. And it's going to be really awesome. Like,
Yes.
you're doing this for future Sharon.
So question is, I would love to have this looked at. I'm going to finish it a little bit. The
Brilliant.
one thing that Anise mentioned when we were talking about it is like, what problem are you solving? So my problem I'm solving is people try to do everything. And what they don't realize is that when trying to do everything, you really don't accomplish much. And so looking at those key aspects. So my title, I've kept playing around with this. Right now it's saying shorten your to-do list while achieving your goals.
Oh, love it. Shorten to-do list while achieving your goals. I love this. And the other thing I want to just always bring back to, the biggest thing I'm going to be looking for is how is every single word that you're saying relating back to the career fulfillment blueprint? Like, how does it connect? What, like, it's like, how can we be clear? So another thing I wanted to tell Anise, so Anise, when you watch this back, this is for you. Also, when I get feedback, it's very difficult at the beginning of my business because it's like instant shame. And my copyright coach literally was like, your copywriting is trash. And I was like, ah, and the data that we had from that, not trash, but it's like, she was like, I've got like 1,000 new people to join my list and 500 have unsubscribed in the past like 2 months. And she was like, that's abnormal data. That's like something we want to look at. So you're going to get data at different points in your business and you don't want to take it personally. It's just like, okay, what can I do? It's like interesting. What can I do from here to like make it better? And one of the things that she recommended to me is saying like systems work, saying systems. And if you look at the video of my Facebook group, you're not on Facebook, I can send it to you. But the video I just did in the Facebook group, I'm going to send it out to my email list this week as well.
I am on your Facebook group, but
Oh, you are? Okay, great. But for everybody to see just an example of this in the future, she was like, say systems a fucking million times. She was like, say it as much as you can. So bring it always have a tie back to the blueprint. To blueprint and their bigger why for getting the blueprint is like career coaching. I want you to be like, why are they here? They want to shorten their to-dos to accomplish their goals. And by the way, it's like, yes, this is one piece of it, but there are also all these other aspects. I want you tying that in at the beginning, middle, end. That's what the things I'm going to be looking for is like why they're there, bringing it back to career coaching, bringing it back because I give a lot of value, which is great I think in my flow desk. And what we realize is the people who are coming in cold, which you might experience a lot of if you're just first time LinkedIn, just experiencing this, is that cold people to get them cold to hot means that you're going to need to remind them this is why you're here. This is why you need to care. You need to care because of this. Give them back to the why. So tie back to deeper why program and career coaching.
So I would say, because mine is career fulfillment roadmap. So tying it
Roadmap.
back to how this creates more career fulfillment is
Always bringing it back to fucking, sorry,
okay.
like fucking fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they there? They are not fulfilled. It's like, I know that having a huge to-do list while not achieving your goals can be one of the most stressful and difficult things ever. That is why you're here. I want to help you become more fulfilled in your career. That's like my bigger why. Say fulfillment as much as you can as you practice it. It's
Okay.
gotta feel obnoxious and redundant and not feel right to you. But the my copywriting coach, who is not, I was like, second you want to take on new people, I'll refer her. But she did marketing for someone called Corinne Crabtree, who is also from like life coach school, and that was like the biggest shift that they had to do. They had to just say the same thing over and over again. It actually makes it easier, but it's a skill of learning how to like just tie it back every time.
Okay.
So you got this. And send us
Thank
your
you.
eval and send us your slides. And I'll for sure take a look at this. I'll add you to my thing tonight. And I know that I was like, oh no, I didn't want to do that. How do you undo it? Undo. Um, with then whenever you get it, I was like, I'll audit webinar Sharon. But yeah, so freaking awesome. Feeling good?
Yes, I think that based on our conversations today, I'm going to edit a little bit more to include what you just mentioned about adding the career fulfillment, and then I'll give it to you, because I think that was a key takeaway.
Good. I love this. I think honestly, this is very helpful for everybody. And within the next 20 minutes or so, I know I can get through Tammy and Jess too. So we're going to do some speed coaching towards the end. Tammy starts off with a win. What is going on for you? And let's get it going.
My
And if we
win
need
was
more time, Jess, we can Slack or not Slack, stream message.
so my win was actually having someone reach out to me, and I unexpectedly signed a new admin client, which was really cool because she was just like, like, I'm looking at needing a website. And I'm like, okay, so can I ask why you think you need a website? And she's like, well, I was told to get one. And I was like, great, by who? And so like we had this like 3-minute conversation, and literally she was closed on buying 10 hours of time from me to help her with her social media and that kind of stuff.
Freaking amazing. I'm
Uh,
like, it's like that service, like disconnected service. It works every time, never in the way you expect.
Well, and
So
it was weird because it was like she wanted to spend all this money on building website. And granted, I don't do websites, but that was my heart behind asking that was like, literally, you don't, I've been in business for 2 years and I still don't have a website.
literally like, and just asking curious questions. Getting
Yeah.
curious.
It was just truly curious. Like, and yeah, so it was really cool. So that was a good win for me.
Love it.
My challenge, I'm wondering if this is more of a mindset challenge or if it is a skill set challenge, but it is like, for me, I can put stuff out there for other people all day long. It's very easy for me to come up with content and ideas for other people. And when it comes to me, I'm sitting here looking at my pillars going, oh, what do I do? And then I'm like, going to Canva templates for ideas and like trying to, like I'm buffering. I'm straight up buffering and going, well, maybe I need to research some more. Or maybe I need a book. That's what I need. I need to read another book.
Of course.
And so I know, and maybe there's something that scares me about closing 10 people a month on the Budget Blaster. That's another win that kind of ties in. So you talked about collecting that feedback. I got the feedback from 2 of my very first clients that went through Budget Blaster. They have one more session before they're done. They rated it a 10 out of 10. And I was like, awesome, your check's in the mail, but
Yes.
it was really cool because it gave me social proof that what I'm doing works. Like it works for me, but then again, I'm just me. Will it work for other people? And so it is working for other people. And I've got, a couple married couples that I'm working with. And it's just like, oh, wow, this is like really cool. So that being said, it's like, I'm going, okay, how do I think the skill set ties in because I'm not sure how to take the skill set of conversation. And obviously I'm not going to name drop names or anything because this is like highly hush, like I don't want anyone's info divulged, but like taking the context of what people are learning and making it into content in a way that does not dishonor them, but also like allows me to connect and say, hey, like when you're a married couple, it's really cool to understand what each other values instead of saying, well, I value this and this is the way it should be, like that kind of stuff. But like you were saying, like copy, for some reason I struggle with doing the copy. In word form and in videos, like, okay, so I'm being told by a lot of people who have massive followings, like, don't do videos that are more than 5 seconds, do looping videos and type out your message at the bottom. So that way it feeds the algorithm and people stay on it longer. And I'm going, okay, great. But I'm not really good with typed out words. I'm really good at like video conversation and stuff. And I want to go back to doing more reels like that. But apparently that's not what's trending right now.
Okay. So I've got lots of thoughts. I was like, you give me like a bunch of things. First
You're
things
welcome.
first. I love it. I was like, anytime that you notice that you're buffering, what we want to do is notice that the emotion that you're trying to go for is like you're trying to avoid the emotion of doing the thing that you might not want to do. So what I
Yes.
like to do is I like to set a timer. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself 25 minutes to do a creative exploration, listen to 5 minutes of a like give yourself a time
Mm.
restraint to get to like scratch that itch almost until you like the buffer itch and being like, we'll see if that works. That's the first thing I like to do. The second thing, if I notice that I'm doing some buffering that's not serving me, is the accountability. So it's like I love to be like, okay, it's like whatever you want to do in the time that you have. It's like you can be like, okay, I want to get 3 posts done this week. You can post it in the group and be like, this is what I want to get done. And if I don't get this done, we need to coach on it next week. And be like, okay, so it's like being like, okay, like what I do with my coach is she'll be like, if I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to get my emails done, she's like, okay, you need to bring me 3 emails but by next week. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, fine. I'll get my this done in advance. I'm like, fine. The other thing is if both of those things don't work, then we need to bring it back for some coaching and then switch approach. And what like there's probably some like deeper thought work that needs to be done here. Try the like A-line shifts. And if it does sometimes the A-line switches just work and then figure out like what is the objective that I'm missing because of this? What is my opportunity cost? And what am I like procrastinating that I need to get done? And then you'll have more clarity when you mention it in here and also give yourself time. Again, just like the mental stuff that I was telling Anise, I was like, when there's mental things, give yourself numbers. So that's the first thing. How does that feel for you?
I can definitely try. Like, I like the fact that it scratches the left side of the brain versus just
Yeah.
focusing on emotions and that stuff. So, like, I vibe with that pretty well. Okay, so time restraint, scratch my itch, go into
Post it
accountability. Because I
here.
noticed too, even filling out the form, I think the last 3 weeks, I've had the same answer for something on the progress tracking, and I'm like, we're still not doing it. That's fun. Let me just copy
Mm.
paste it. So it's the um content mapping based on pillars. I still got to do this. So I've done that. I
Uh,
put that on there like 2 weeks in a row at least.
let's give it a try. Let's see if you can. Let's see if like this week on your own, see if you can do it. And if you can't do it, like literally no big deal. Next week we'll coach on it and we'll figure out like sometimes they need extra support. And I'm like, okay, I need you to hold my hand as I go through my piano. Okay, I need you to like do this, like whatever it is that I don't want to do. And then once I do it once, then it makes it easier to go from there. So I think that's going to be helpful for you. If you don't, I was like, now we know we got the accountability piece. Like, we're looking for that spreadsheet, post it in the group whenever it's done. And if it doesn't get done, we can make it together next week for sure. And I'll put you at the top of the list. The other thing that's just helpful for everybody, and I said worst case, if it's like very it's really specific, ask for permission. But I would say that like what I usually do is I change pronouns and change circumstances. And I'll be like, okay, like now if it's a married couple, then that would be like a different situation. But if I'm working with a woman, I'll like be like, I have a client and he is really struggling, or I will make it they are really struggling with this to keep it
Okay.
neutral.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by like change pronouns, change
Okay.
circumstances, and be like, they are trying. They've been working in this career for like 15 years, and they want a new career. If they worked in it for 5 years, I'll just like say it like in a way that protects their
Details. Yeah.
identity like as much as it can, and then I share about like the situation. If there's something that you're like, this is such a specific situation and I know that like this is really really going to help a lot of people, ask them for permission. Now I would also say here the feedback, ask them if they could record a video. Like ask them, be like, hey, I know you had a great experience. Like ask them for testimonials. Like ask them for videos, pictures, what. And I think we talked about this last week, but like the phases of like a testimonial being like, okay, the best is a video, next best is a picture that you can talk about, next best is this, next best is that. So like the more visual people can get, the better. So that is what I would ask for these lovely humans. How does that land?
Yeah, and then that's part of what I did on my survey is like asked, would you be willing to share a testimonial? So I think maybe I could go back and edit that to say, video, picture, anonymous to give them options. So that way.
And you can also reach back out to old people. And I would say number one is see if they want to do Resilient Life. I'm not spelling this right, probably. But like see if they are interested. And then in any event, being like, hey, and then if later, after having many conversations, ask about testimonial. Be like, it would be so helpful for other people to see this. And also Budget Blasters a month, right?
Your Budget Blaster is 6 weeks. Yeah.
6 weeks. So I would ask them week 3 in the future.
Yes, that's what I had. That's what I came up with was I have a pre-survey which onboards them. I have a survey in the middle where it's like, okay, we're taking a pulse check. Where are you at? We got 3 more sessions to wrap this with a bow. And then I have like a end of course survey.
What I would do if you don't have any other testimonials, what I would also do is I would reach out to them like one-on-one, be like, hey, you've gotten like insane results. Would you mind doing a video? Like instead of it just being like a rote thing that everybody gets, being like, I would love to hear you talk about this. Like ask them about that. Like a one-on-one, like in a message, email, whatever, instead of just in the feedback form. And if you don't have any testimonials currently on your page, I forget if you do, but maybe if there's someone who feels willing to like be like, hey, Tammy helped me with something and feels like they would like to do a testimonial for you from the group in the Facebook group, or in your page. Like even I was like I could even do one. I'll do one and I'll be like, hey, like she helped me with the PNL. She did this training. I've seen the things that she does. She's awesome. So people can see that there are videos that are going on your feed, just normalizing that as like, oh, when I work with Tammy, this is something I might want to do. And yeah, ask us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea to reach back out and ask because I have a Facebook group and it's slowly growing, which is awesome. Because then I started in October and I was in there, and then now there's like 150 people in there, not including myself.
Yes, Tammy, we love this. The next thing I want to offer you is that if you are wanting to do the 5-second testimonial, those kind of reels, they are going to do better, probably. The shorter videos do better because Instagram and social media is attracted to people who have a shorter time period. However, what I want to offer real quick is that for an entertainer, the goal is to get more views, follows, likes, etc. That is what like entertainers and influencers do, which is great. But our job is to sell a small business. So it's like, it's a different objective than the quick people. Our job is to get people to buy. If you are saying that like you could do something for 5 seconds and it wouldn't be like it'd be kind of confusing and wouldn't really like help people, that's not going to get people to buy.
Yeah, no, and even as you're saying that, I'm kind of going, well, the influencer entertainer style is audience growth mode. I am now in a place where it's like, okay, I've got 1,200 something people on Instagram, and then I've got almost 7,000 on Facebook following. And so now it's kind of like, okay, I don't necessarily need audience growth mode. Now I need to go into value mode, which means it's okay if I do longer videos, and it's okay if it's not like trendy audios or whatever.
And I would say not only is it okay, but I would say that like it's necessary. Like this is your goal. We're focused. Like it's like this is what we want to do.
That's good. Okay, that's really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was feeling squirmish about, oh gosh, I have to do a lot of really good copy in a 5-second video and this, that, and the other. I'm like, I'm not closing people. Okay, easy. Copy? No.
But it's so interesting because I want to offer you that probably won't be a helpful thought later on. And you're also like, content ideas are easy. So I'm like, your brain's just braining. This is going to be our word. Thank you, Charlotte Smith. Your brain is just braining. You know how to create content. We're just gonna like play to your strengths and give people what they want. Give the
Okay.
people.
Okay. And then I want to dig deeper on connecting pillars to content at another time, please. So I feel
Let's
like
do that next week. Like let's like put your calendar in, just put it in the stream. And I like literally if you just have ideas here, just start posting any ideas. Let them flow. All random ideas that you have for content. And what we can do next week is I can help you connect it to things. How's that feel?
overwhelming, but I can do it.
You've got this. I was like, that's why you're in this group to get you moving forward, which is so good.
Okay. Thank
Now,
you.
Jess, I have more, of course, I have more time than 3 minutes. Do you have more time than 3 minutes?
I have like 10.
Perfect. What's a win? And let's get going.
Oh man, I had it and I should have written it down. Oh, my podcast got launched last week. There we go. We're gonna go with that as a win. Well, not
Awesome.
my podcast, but I was on a podcast.
So fun.
Which is actually what I need coaching about. So,
That's so
I don't know if like a vulnerability hangover is a thing. I feel like maybe I heard that from
Mhm.
Brene Brown or something. Um, yeah. So that I was super excited about that being out there. And a couple of things came from it. One was this like, I mean, I've resonated with everyone's coaching today, but I think shame is what came up for me after. And I don't know, I was not very open with a lot of people about losing my dad. So I don't know if maybe that's where some of that came from, where it was like it became like a very central topic in that conversation. And
Mm.
so that was very vulnerable for me. And then the other thing that came up was I I kind of don't think I've been talking to my people. Um, when I revisited the idea of like who I serve in that and hearing myself talk about it, and I did this podcast back in August. It was before I had gotten laid off from my job. I was on a high. I took myself on a business weekend away. Like I took 3 days and I just focused on my business. And I was like in this really, I felt like a very grounded place. And even though it's not been a very long time since then, I have been through a fuck ton of growth to the point where now I find myself feeling confused about who I am trying to serve.
Mhm.
And so it has sent me on a bit of a spiral. I also have just like a weird side thing to the whole vulnerability part. A close friend of mine has like started to be very distant and not very supportive of me. And
Mm.
I feel like I'm reading into it a little bit more than I need to, and I'm working on that as far as my own kind of thought work and processing. But it definitely sent me into like the I'm not good enough. If people that are close to me can't support me, then why would anybody else kind of thing. And so there's just been a lot of this like confusion. Like I felt like I was getting to a place where I was really comfortable with my voice and confident in what I had to say. And it feels like I just have backtracked a lot in the last week.
Okay. This
Sorry,
is
that was a little bit of a
no, it's so good. First and foremost, thank you for sharing that with us. Like, I am so sorry. I know that like everyone says like I'm sorry for your loss, I'm sure, but I just am really grateful you felt open enough to share that with us. And I think that that would be a very triggering thing for most humans. If we're thinking back to Anissa's like super trauma trigger, like I think
yeah.
that is probably what's coming up here. And I have a feeling that this would be like almost like a smaller trigger, like the close friend, distant and supporting you. If we're thinking about like the biggest triggers for most humans, yeah, I was like, wait, what's coming up? I was like,
This has been something I've been working on for a while. This abandonment stuff. Um, for it's a very layered thing.
Mhm.
So when I feel like I've worked through a lot and I'm at a point now where I really just want to rest from it. Like I just need a minute. And it feels like it just keeps knocking, like, hey, there's more here. And I'm like, I fucking know. I just
Mhm.
don't want to do it right now. Like I want to focus on something lighter and like I feel like I've spent about the last 5 or 6 months just kind of in the gutter of that. And I start to pop my head out and feel really good. And then something is just like, nope.
Mhm.
Like, here you go. So
And
it's very heavy.
so one of my big things is like one of my past selves is like when everything it's like the other shoe's gonna drop mentality, which essentially means like
Yes.
okay, it's like when you said I can never get out of the hole, I was like that I want to project onto you, but I'm like feeling a little bit of that where it's like
Yeah.
okay, I just start to like be able to breathe. I can just get my head above water. Then there's something else that pushes me back down, and then it's like it's sounding like a cycle. And what our
Hmm.
brain is also designed to do is look for patterns, right? Especially patterns to keep you safe. So it's like
Yeah.
essentially what I'm hearing is that there are some patterns that your brain is noticing, and it's like feeling triggered to the point that you're going into dorsal vagal. Like
Mm.
it's like we're shutting down, we need to rest. When you said like just need to rest, I that's when your brain and nervous system is way too triggered to be
Yeah.
like, okay, keep going. So, what we want to do at this point is I want to offer that even though this feels like shit, each time that you've been pushed back under, what has happened because of it?
I've unlocked something just I've I think what I'm doing is building self-trust, but the really hard part is that I feel like my realization that I didn't have it is still very new. So it's like you think you have a perception of yourself and then you learn things and my self-concept has been challenged a lot, I guess is the best way to put it. And I think just having gone through the 25K group with Stacy, this is a lot of what I did. I didn't do a lot of business growth. I signed one client in that 6 months and I was finding ways to be okay with all of that because I was appreciating how much I was I was kind of tearing myself down to be built back up.
Hmm.
But I hit a point um I have to go back in my journal and like say I looked for it the other day because I couldn't remember what it was, but it was like right around the beginning of the year. And I just remember this immense feeling that I had like I know this is like a weird visual to give, but it was like it's like a sci-fi movie when somebody like unzips the body and they like come out. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I had shed like an old skin and
Mhm.
it and it was like a full fucking body experience and I hope that I never forget that feeling because it was insanely amazing. But that was like only I don't know a month ago and I'm like how the fuck am I here right now? Like
How are
I
we back again? Yep. That's like the worst
why?
fucking part. It's like I literally so I got this analogy when I was getting coached last week when I was also in like this place where I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening right now? So when I was literally like in a similar place last week. Nothing has gone wrong. And I literally the way it was described to me, Mindy, she coached for the life coach school, and she was like, what you want to think about is almost like you're at the have you ever played like a video game like where there are levels and there's a boss at the end?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like she was like, what happens is I think that you are right on the verge.
Such a good analogy.
Is it a
I'm
good analogy?
picturing
I'm
the
like,
guy
literally,
from
I'm like,
Mario.
you are in the Super Mario level. You are about to
Oh,
go to the next
fuck.
highest level. And what happens is the biggest boss at the end is that past self. So I literally think that you are on the verge of a breakthrough. Right now, I've got
Dude, you're
goosebumps.
blowing my mind right now. Like I
Right?
am envisioning myself kicking the shit out of what was that guy's name?
The Bowser?
Yes.
Yes, you are experiencing Bowser, but Bowser unzips himself and surprises past you. And it's like, sheesh.
He's such a bitch.
It's like, oh God. It's like, we got this whole situation going on. Not ideal. And we also could be like, oh shit. It's just my old me. It's like, and I know that what happens at the beginning of at the end of every level, you get also like superpowers, right? Like you get like up levels, you get different like abilities because you defeated that. So you're about to get some really important things. And I don't know if there's a reason for everything, but we can find a reason for something. And I think the things you're supposed to glean at the end of this level are supposed to help your people. I think this is
Yeah.
exactly what they're going through. They are feeling lost, confused. They're trying to find themselves again in some way, shape, or form. And the reason you're experiencing this is to help other people. And for some reason, I don't know if it's like I need to get better about like just doing it for me, but I'm like, if I'm like, oh, I'm going through this shit so I can help somebody else, I will go through it any day. Again, I
Right.
need to be better about like doing things just like for myself and things like that. But like I will say that like I think that it's to help other people. Does that kind of like land? And it's like every time I get to like to
Yeah.
service, then I'm like, okay, I will endure this. I will endure the vulnerability hangover, which is so real. So every time that you get bigger, anytime that you're in a stage, like that's a different level of visibility, there's always a vulnerability hangover. So typically,
Yeah.
like not even if you hadn't, even if this hadn't come up, I know that it would have been the same thing. Like it's
Yeah.
still at any level. And the worst thing is, it's like it's always if it's good stuff too. It's like, oh, this is like
Yeah.
really great, and it's like, and of course, this is like the struggle, you know? I don't know where we put the vulnerability hangover, but I was like that. I also think I think that you're about to get bigger. I think you're supposed to get bigger. I think their most vulnerability hangover. I think you're supposed to get more visible. And
Oh, so scary.
but you've got the bet. So I felt like that too. And I was like, I've never had this much support in my entire life. I've never had like this big of a community to help me. I've
Yeah.
never had like, and the reason why I'm getting this visibility challenge right now is because I now have the best support people to help me through this.
Yeah.
And if you want to do what I did like with what I was telling Anise about in hypnotherapy, which was awesome, by the way. I will totally give you the name of my hypnotherapist. She's amazing. Her name, and
Please.
she's German. So I'm gonna give everybody Johanna. You won't be able to understand anything that she talks about on any of her stuff, but she is one of my friends from 200K. She's incredible. She's so smart. And I trust her with my life, and I would trust every single one of you with her. And there's so many people that do like hypnotherapy and things like that. But oh, here it is.
But I
Found her.
think trust is a huge, it's part of the reason I haven't done it yet. I've done a couple of other things, but I feel like if I'm gonna pursue it and opening Pandora's box, I need a safe, a
A
really
safe
safe
and
place.
I will say that like I didn't get it because I was like I've coached myself for years, but there's still this like random stuff, and it's like some subconscious stuff is in here. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that if there's a safety issue, that's nervous system to
Yeah.
it, you know. And so if you and I think that like I know what you mean by like the visibility. I know it's like, oh my God, this is like the worst, but I want you to lean on us. We've got your
Okay.
back. And the thing that came up for me was like I'm this weekend I'm actually going out of town and I'm presenting to some of my idols. Like I'm giving a presentation on social media to my coach. Oh, thumbs up. It's
Oh.
like, yeah, thumbs up for that. I'm like, I'm giving it to my coach. The people who are like on the life coach school like banner when you like open up the life coach school, I'm like teaching them how to do social media. It's like
That's
wild to
badass.
me. I'm like, it's gonna be so fun. And I have been in a spiral. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And I've been reading into shit. And I'm like reading it like so it's like I had two one-on-one clients leave. And I was like, and maybe this is a sign that the other shoe is gonna drop and everything is going to crap. And I literally like had to get into a place yesterday where I got coached again by another self-coaching scholars person. And I literally was like, okay, so if everybody leaves, I will go back to teaching and I will still probably do something like this. And I literally like had to go there in my head to just like be able to get out of my head to do shit. It was
Yeah.
fascinating. So I'm like, everything that you're saying, totally normal. It happens. Also, the people that are not close to you, just the last little thing I want to leave you with. I think that sometimes people come into your life for a reason. I think that you probably are just reading into this. I was like in this situation. However, as we go through cycles and we uplevel ourselves, there are some people who might not come along for the ride.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's really, really sad, especially to someone who is literally like the suicidal little lady in there. She was like totally
Yeah.
rejected, failure, and things like that. And when I first started my business, some of my closest teaching friends that I would see every like multiple times a week, we no longer are in contact. And it was like so devastating at first. I was like, I don't understand why this happened. And then
Yeah.
I realized I was like to make room for new people I need in this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what I've been coaching myself through, is that there is the possibility that is the case with this friend. I think I mean, there's a whole slew of
Things.
connections that and things that I've noticed. And what's interesting is that we had talked about doing business things together, and I decided to create some distance from that perspective. And then there's been distance then in general. And so I don't believe in coincidences. And I think there's probably a lot of fear with the idea of up leveling and leaving behind relationships that have been pretty pivotal in my life. So it's yeah, lots to lots to work through.
It is, and I want you to know that you are safe. Like in
Thank you.
this, even though and you're gonna even do even more work to become safe. One of the things that like I would recommend is like taking some time loving on that past self, whatever version of you, as best you can without support. Maybe reach out to Johanna, and I've got some other people like if she doesn't I'll ask her if she's accepting one-on-one clients and
Okay.
send your info over. But I've got other ideas for people. So if this does not work out, there are so many other awesome humans that I trust and work with. This is just like my personal hypnotherapist who I adore. Um, and I think that, but I'm really, thank you for bringing all this up. We're all going to go through this, and it is weird. It is weird to like see the version of you changing pretty
Yeah.
quickly. And I want you to know that, like, even though you might not emotionally feel safe, you are safe in this community. Like it's like if your brain is feeling like I'm in emotional danger, you are actually safe, and we are here for you always, in those moments that you might feel less than safe. We are the familiarity that was from before, it's creating like room for like this like new family now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Of course. Oh, such it's like so deep, but want everybody to know you might have to go through. I hope that it isn't as painful as the things that I know you're experiencing, but I also do know that like we might all have to experience this in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. And I'm really, really glad that you brought this for coaching today because it's gonna happen. We're gonna all get bigger, and it's nice to hear somebody for everybody else on the call. Thank you for sharing because I know that this is going to happen for somebody else again in this group for sure, whether it's in the time we were together or the time after this. And knowing that you made it through and are okay is going to be something that they're going to use to get through their hard time too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Jess, I love you so freaking much. And I love all of you so much. I wish I could just like give you like the biggest hug. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing 14 mess. I was like, the chat isn't even responding to me anymore. It is lit up. I was like, this is so good. Yes, beating your Bowser. So freaking good.
Oh yeah, I am like, that's the best visual. I actually have a punching bag that we got my daughter for Christmas.
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna kick Bowser's ass later. Like I'm really,
Let
yeah.
it out.
That as soon as you said that, I was just like, holy shit, that's the best visual. Like, and it's so. I immediately felt my anxiousness like lessen. As soon as you said that, I was like, I can win.
And I literally like, and I wouldn't have that analogy if I hadn't gone through this shit earlier like literally like
Right.
last week with Mindy. And so there was a
So
reason for me going through it. I have a feeling there's a reason for you going through this too.
You're
And you just
welcome.
pay
Here's
it
your reason.
forward. Boom. Crush it. Let's help people. Change the world. All the things.
Yeah.
I love you guys so freaking much. You are
Oh my
all
gosh.
so awesome. Go
Thank
and do
you.
amazing shit today, guys. I love you. And I will see
Yeah,
you next
love
week.
you.
Okay? All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.